So I've been thinking, Deku's been released in Anime Vanguard for the past, 5 days, 6 days, and
we do not care.
Its passives and abilities suck. I mean, it doesn't even have an ability. That's the thing. Deku, the guy with 6 quirks, literally the one that solos the entire verse, doesn't have ability. So this is my idea for a Vanguard familiar for Deku. So basically, Deku has 6 quirks: Smokescreen, Fajin, Gear Shift, Float, Dark Whip, and Danger Sense. And none of them are in Anime Vanguards but Black Whip. And I'm just saying, really, this is Vigilante Deku and not Deku from of Season 7. That's crazy. So I have a big idea for a Vanguard familiar. I'm calling it Pass Down Trait. That's the Vanguard familiar. So basically, what it would work is it would give you passives for each different trait you would use when you use the ability. So there'd be one big ability. This ability is like swap from Dio or Sid or Goku. And each time you use it, you would swap between the 6 quirks. And each time you swap, you get a secondary ability depending on the quirk, and a new passive depending on the power. So Float, for example, would change its last move. So the last move of Deku would be changed dramatically into an entirely new ability where it's like you flow up in the air, grab the enemy, punch him on the ground, you just punch him on the ground. Now, Black Whip would stay the same, just maybe an extra passive or two, maybe slows the enemy down, but that's really good. So now we have Danger Sense. Danger Sense would not change anything, but what will it have is it will just work as a buff. You use Danger Sense, now you can dodge all stuns, everything from another ability, from like if someone's using a debuff, you would dodge a debuff like that. And then Fajin would be stored up. I call it stored up power. When using stored up power, your damage does get reduced by, I think, 10% or 20% in my opinion. But that 10% and 20% damage reduction will be stored up. This will be your second ability called Release Power. So what we would do is you would use it, and all the stored up power you would use would come out as a big attack. So the next attack you would use would become all that stored up attack. So if it was like 10k damage for each time and you did it 100 times, that'd be like 100. So all that damage would be all together with your normal attack, and it'd be like a sort of a nuke, but it would just be a buff to your already attack. Now we have Gear Shift. What I think Gear Shift would work is Gear Shift would work as you have 5 uses of Gear Shift. Each time you use it, you speed up your attack. So your SPA gets speed up to like a lower amount. So if it was 4, it would go to 3. And you would also, your damage would get increased by a mile. You would use this 5 times. After you use the 5th time, you cannot use your unit for unit doing good damage. It's the same thing, nothing changes. But what does change is now the enemies now have a chance to go backwards, forwards as they're lost in the cloud. So that's what I think that would be good for that. And you might be like, but Deku has 0 SPA. He literally can attack right away. That's what I'm thinking is what you should do is remove the entire thing of, if I attack a unit for again and again, my SPA gets worse and worse. What I think is you should just give the unit a 5 second, 7 second SPA, and each time you use something like, for example, speed up, aka Gear Shift, it gets reduced and stuff like that. This is why I think it's much better. I just really like Vanguard familiars, and I don't like what they did for Deku. Deku, strongest person in its verse, and doesn't even have an ability. So that's what I think we should do for a Deku Vanguard familiar. I hope you guys enjoy this. Maybe subscribe and like. Maybe. Please and thank you. If this gets a couple good likes and 50 views, I'll do this with things like Okaroon and Momo and some other stuff. Or maybe some character suggestions.